Krakow, Poland, October 1944. Inside a factory on the outskirts of the city, a man in a tailored suit stands at the edge of a production floor. The suit is expensive, Italian wool, perfectly pressed, a detail that feels almost obscene given what surrounds it. Around him, hundreds of men and women are working, pressing metal, moving parts, hammering steel. Their hands are cracked and raw. Their faces are hollow. They are surviving on watery soup and black bread, and the specific kind of exhaustion that comes not just from physical labor, but from fear. The fear of what happens the moment you stop being useful. Outside these walls, the SS is systematically liquidating every ghetto left in occupied Poland. Cattle cars are moving east every single day. The smoke from Auschwitz-Birkenau, 40 miles away, is visible on certain days when the wind shifts direction. The smell carries further than the smoke. But inside this factory, nothing touches these people. The man in the suit watches his workers. He lights a cigarette. He adjusts his Nazi party pin. The small enamel badge he wears not out of conviction, but out of necessity, the way a man carries an umbrella he hopes never to use. He says nothing. His name is Oskar Schindler, and what he is doing right now in this factory, in this moment, is one of the most calculated, dangerous, and morally extraordinary acts in the entire history of the Second World War. He is spending his entire personal fortune, every single Reichsmark he has ever accumulated, to keep these people breathing. This is the story of how a German war profiteer, a member of the Nazi Party, a hard-drinking womanizer who came to Krakow with nothing but debts and ambition and a talent for working a room, became the unlikely savior of over 1,200 Jewish lives. Part 1. The Opportunist, April 28, 1908, Zwickau, Moravia, a region that was then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and is today the Czech Republic. Oskar Schindler is born into a comfortable Catholic German-speaking family. His father Hans runs a farm machinery business. The family is middle-class, respectable, stable. Oskar's childhood is unremarkable in almost every way. He's charming from early on, the kind of boy who talks his way out of trouble, who makes adults laugh, who knows instinctively how to read a room and give people exactly what they want from him. He also drinks too much. He spends too much. He is spectacularly unfaithful to his wife Emily, whom he marries in 1928 and whom he will spend the next several decades simultaneously relying on and betraying. He starts businesses. Some fail. He tries again. By his early 30s, he has a pile of debts, a list of creditors, and a charming smile that has gotten him further in life than it probably should have. But underneath the chaos, Schindler has one genuine gift, one talent that cannot be faked or bought or manufactured. He can walk into any room and make every single person in it feel like the most important person in the world. He is magnetic in a way that goes beyond charm. He is present. He remembers names, small details, personal information. He knows what people want to hear, and he delivers it without making it feel like a performance. In peacetime, this would make him a good salesman. In wartime, occupied Poland, this talent is going to mean the difference between life and death for over 1,000 human beings. September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland. Within weeks, the occupation is complete. The Nazi administration moves in. The decrees, the restrictions, the systematic stripping of rights. Jewish businesses are seized. Jewish bank accounts are frozen. Jews are required to register, to wear armbands, to live within specific boundaries. The machinery of persecution moves fast and efficiently. Schindler arrives in Krakow in October 1939. Just weeks after the invasion, the city is already transforming around him. He notices everything. And what he notices, specifically, is opportunity. He is broke. He needs a business. And in occupied Poland, there is a ready supply of Jewish-owned businesses that have been seized by the Nazi administration and are being sold cheaply to German entrepreneurs willing to operate them under new ownership. Schindler moves quickly. He connects with local Jewish financial networks, specifically with men who were, before the war, successful businessmen and accountants, men who now find themselves legally stripped of their ability to operate independently. Men who need a German face to front a business if that business is going to survive. Men who have cash that needs somewhere to go. And Schindler connects with Itzhak Stern. Stern is an accountant, quiet, precise, deeply intelligent, with a scholar's patience and a banker's eye for risk. He works for the Jewish community organization in Krakow, and he is, in every way, Schindler's opposite. Where Schindler is loud, Stern is measured. Where Schindler acts on instinct, Stern plans. But Stern sees something in Schindler that most people walking through Krakow in the winter of 1939 do not seem to possess: a gap, a space where a conscience might grow if given the right conditions. Schindler takes over a factory that had previously manufactured enamelware, pots, pans, kitchen goods. It's called Deutsche E-Mail-Warenfabrik, or DEF. People will come to call it simply Emalia. It sits on Lipowa Street on the outskirts of Krakow, with Stern's help navigating the financial and administrative paperwork. The factory is up and running by early 1940. Schindler hires Jewish workers. The reason at first is purely financial. Under Nazi occupation law, Jewish workers' wages are paid not to the workers themselves, but directly to the SS, and the SS rate is significantly lower than the rate for Polish non-Jewish workers. Jewish labor is effectively subsidized by the regime's own height of persecution. Schindler exploits this. He is, by any honest measure, a war profiteer, using slave labor to maximize his margins. On paper, this is exploitation, and in the beginning, it is. Part 2, Inside the Walls. Picture the factory floor in 1941. The Emalia plant is running at full capacity. Hundreds of workers move through the space in 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. The air inside smells of machine oil and iron dust, and the particular stale warmth of too many bodies working too close together. The noise is relentless. The grinding of metal presses, the hiss of cooling material, the rhythmic clanging of shell casings being stacked into wooden crates destined for the German war machine. The workers are Jewish men and women from the Krakow ghetto, a sealed district the Nazis have created in the Podgorza neighborhood across the river, where the entire Jewish population of the city has been forced to relocate. They live packed into apartments, 4 and 5 families to a room. Food is rationed at near starvation levels. Disease spreads easily. Every morning, the Emalia workers are assembled and march through the city streets under armed SS guard. They walk past their former homes, past businesses that once belonged to their families, past a city that has been systematically erased of everything that connected them to it. Every evening, they march back. The march itself is a kind of psychological violence, a daily reminder of what has been taken from them and who took it. Inside the factory, Schindler moves through the floor with the confidence of a man who is comfortable in his own skin. He shakes hands. He remembers workers' names, not just the supervisors, but the floor workers, the women on the press lines, the young men moving materials between stations. He makes jokes. He palms extra food to workers when guards are looking the other way. He looks away when a worker needs a moment to rest. He visits the floor, not with the detached authority of ownership, with something that feels to the people watching him, almost like care. Itzhak Stern runs the numbers from a small office off the main floor. He is Schindler's operational brain, the man who keeps the bureaucracy moving, who manages the paperwork, who handles the Nazi administrative machinery that surrounds every aspect of running a business in occupied Poland. He and Schindler develop a shorthand, a working relationship that is professional on the surface and quietly, increasingly, something more purposeful underneath. Stern begins to understand what Schindler is doing before Schindler has fully articulated it to himself. A Jewish worker classified as essential to war production cannot legally be deported. That is the rule. It is a loophole, a bureaucratic gap in the machinery of genocide, and Schindler begins to exploit it with everything he has. He argues to SS administrators that his workers have specialized skills that are irreplaceable and that would take months to train into new workers. He exaggerates, he invents, he submits paperwork that reclassifies workers as machinists and engineers and metalworking specialists when their actual experience is in accounting or tailoring or medicine. He is manufacturing safety out of paperwork and bluff. He cultivates relationships with SS officers, taking them to expensive restaurants, sending cases of cognac and bottles of champagne, hosting dinners where the conversation is warm and the schnapps flows freely. He gives gifts, he flatters, he positions himself as the kind of cooperative, useful German businessman that the occupation needs, someone who gets things done and doesn't ask difficult questions. And under the cover of that performance, he is doing something the SS officers eating at his table would never believe if they could see it clearly. By the middle of 1942, Amalia employs over 900 Jewish workers, and Schindler has crossed a line inside himself that he can never step back across. He has seen enough. He knows what is happening to the Jews of Poland, not as rumor, not as whisper, but as visible, undeniable fact. He has seen the deportation columns. He has heard from his workers what happened to their families. He knows where the trains go, and he has made a decision, not in a single dramatic moment, not in a speech or a declaration, but slowly, the way a man changes when his conscience finally becomes louder than his self-interest. He is going to save as many people as he can, whatever it costs. Part 3. The Liquidation, March 13 and 14, 1943. 2 days. The Krakow ghetto is liquidated. German and Ukrainian SS units move through the streets before dawn, hammering on doors, dragging people from apartments, from hiding places built into walls and floors and ceilings. Children are pulled from their mothers in the street. The elderly, who cannot keep up the pace of the march, are shot on the sidewalk and left where they fall. Anyone deemed unproductive, the sick, the very young, the very old, is killed immediately or loaded into trucks that don't go to work camps. The streets run with chaos. People are running. People are screaming. People are trying to disappear into doorways and shadows and are being found anyway. Schindler watches from horseback on a hill above the ghetto. He watches the columns forming and the shooting starting. He watches a building on fire. He watches SS officers moving methodically through the streets below with the bureaucratic efficiency of men who have done this before and will do it again. And he watches a little girl in a red coat. She is small, maybe 5 or 6 years old. She is walking through the chaos with an eerie, unnatural calm, moving through the crowd like she is somewhere else entirely, like the violence around her is not quite real to her yet. Her red coat is vivid against the gray of the street and the gray of the sky. She walks. She keeps walking. Schindler watches her until she disappears from view. He rides back to the factory in silence. That evening, he sits with Stern. He is not performing. The charm is gone. The energy is flat. He describes what he saw. Then he says, "We have to do more." Part 4. Plazov, Thame, and Goeth. The survivors of the ghetto liquidation are marched to the Plazov concentration camp, 2 kilometers southeast of the city, built on the site of 2 Jewish cemeteries. The SS had used the gravestones to pave the camp roads. The camp commandant is SS Hauptsturmführer Amon Goeth. Goeth is one of the most viscerally terrifying figures of the entire occupation. He is physically imposing, over 6 feet tall, heavy-set, with a cold and unpredictable volatility that keeps everyone around him in a constant state of terror. He shoots prisoners from the balcony of his villa with a rifle, not for discipline, not for escape attempts, for the feeling of it, for the morning routine. His 2 dogs, named Rolf and Ralph, are trained to tear people apart on command. Schindler befriends him. This is not a small thing. This requires Schindler to sit across from a man who murders people as a leisure activity and maintain the performance of friendship long enough, consistently enough, to make it useful. He brings Goeth gifts. He invites him to dinners. He tells him what he wants to hear about the war, about Germany, about his own importance. He makes Goeth feel seen and valued and understood, and then he uses that access carefully and methodically to pull specific people out of harm's way. He pays ransoms in cash and jewelry and alcohol for individuals who have been selected for execution. He argues with remarkable success that certain prisoners are too valuable to the war effort to be killed. He is buying people's lives one at a time with whatever currency the moment requires. Part 5. The List. Summer and fall of 1944. The Eastern Front is disintegrating. The Red Army is advancing through Poland at a pace that is beginning to panic the German High Command. The SS response to the advancing front is not to slow the extermination programs. It is to accelerate them. Camps are being liquidated. Evidence is being destroyed. Prisoners who cannot be moved are being killed. Schindler sees what is coming, and he makes his move. He goes to the SS command with the proposal. He wants to relocate his entire factory operation, workers included, to Brunlitz in the Sudetenland, near his hometown of Zwickau. The location makes strategic sense, he argues. It is away from the front, away from the disruptions of a collapsing military situation. Production can continue without interruption. After weeks of lobbying, bribing, and maneuvering through the administrative layers, the SS approves the transfer. Now Schindler needs a list. He and Stern work through the night for days. They go through records, argue over every single name, cross-reference employment files with physical locations in the camp. The criteria they use officially is war production value, machinists, metal workers, engineers. The criteria they actually use is survival. Whose name on this paper means that person lives. Children are listed as adult workers. Their age is falsified. Mothers are listed with skills they have never performed. Rabbis are classified as metal polishers. The entire document is a fiction built on a bureaucratic truth that anyone whose name appears on it will be transferred to Brunlitz instead of being sent east. Every blank space on that list is a name Schindler cannot save. The final document contains 1,200 names. Schindler looks at the list. He tells Stern, "This is power. This is greater power than any general or president has ever had. The power of life and death." Stern does not respond. He just watches Schindler hold the paper. Part 6. Auschwitz. The men are transported first in cattle cars, and they arrive at Brunlitz without incident. The women are routed to Auschwitz-Birkenau by mistake for several days during which Schindler does not sleep, does not stop working the phones and the connections and the administrative channels. 300 women are inside the gates of Auschwitz. They go through selection. They are forced to strip and walk past SS medical officers who decide with a gesture of the hand who goes left and who goes right. Some are sent toward the gas chamber selection line before Schindler's intervention reaches them. He bribes the Auschwitz commandant directly. He sends money, diamonds, cases of liquor, everything he has left, through intermediaries, through back channels, through anyone who can move fast enough. He argues that these women are his workers, classified as essential to the war production at Brunlitz, and that their transfer was an administrative error. The SS agrees for a price. 300 women are loaded back onto a train and arrive at Brunlitz. Schindler meets them on the platform. He sees their faces, hollow, terrified, still carrying whatever Auschwitz had done to them in those few days. He tells them, "You are safe here. You are safe." Part 7. Brunlitz. The Brunlitz factory operates from October 1944 through May 1945. In 7 months of operation, it produces almost nothing usable for the German war machine. This is entirely deliberate. Schindler designs the production process to be maximally inefficient. The machinery is calibrated wrong. The tolerances are off. The shell casings that come off the line fail quality inspections at a rate that, in any other factory, would have triggered an immediate investigation. When the SS begins to ask questions about the defective output, Schindler purchases working shells from other factories to fill his quotas. He is paying out of his own pocket to simulate production while producing nothing that will kill anyone. Inside the factory, the 1,200 workers are still hungry, still exhausted, still living under occupation. But Schindler enforces a rule that costs him enormous political capital to maintain. No SS guard enters the factory floor without his explicit permission. He hosts the guards in the administrative building. He keeps them entertained. He monitors their moods and adjusts his approach daily. On one occasion, a transport of nearly 100 Jewish prisoners, skeletal, half frozen, barely alive, arrives at the factory, having been diverted from another camp. Schindler takes them in, feeds them, arranges medical care for those who can be saved. The SS camp administration objects. Schindler spends 2 days arguing, negotiating, and ultimately paying for the right to keep them. His entire war fortune, everything he made at Amalia, millions of Reichsmarks, goes into this operation. He will end the war with almost nothing. He died on October 9, 1974, in Hildesheim, Germany. He was 66 years old, alone, having spent his final years in a small apartment funded partly by donations from the people he saved. Per his request, he was buried in Jerusalem, Catholic cemetery on Mount Zion. He is the only former member of the Nazi Party buried on Israeli soil with full honor.